Parashat Tzav. Parashat Tzav, on the first glance, looks like a very technical portion of the Torah. It has instructions to the priests, to the Kohanim. There's the laws of korbanot, the types of different types of sacrifices they have to bring. And of course, it talks about the fire on the mizbeach. So that one looks very technical. Should I say, even very boring. However, once you start dwelling inside a little bit, look inside into a deeper look, you see that there is a text here with a very deep philosophical and psychological, which is a very fascinating thing, almost like a roadmap to the human spirit, to the human soul. So let's try to see, by touching few elements, if we can make this a little bit more clear to us. So first of all, there is the story, or what it tells us about the fire, the eternal fire that is on the Mizbeach. By the way, in shuls, here they don't have it, but they should have. Every synagogue has the Esh Tamid, right? And the question is, why do you have it like this? There's a remez for that. So pay attention now, and you understand why we have it and what symbolism is the fire. So the fire on the altar represents a continuous awareness, a state of continuous awareness. What does it mean? The main commandment is Esh Tamid Tukad al Mizbeach Lo Tichbe. An eternal fire should be burning on the altar and should never be extinguished, right? However, the fire here is not necessarily just a physical fire. It represents internal livelihood, the internal livelihood of you inside. It represents the passion, represents meaning. From a psychological point of view, it's a call to preserve a certain core of awareness and presence. You need to be aware and you need to be present all the time. And that core should not be extinguished even when things are not so-called excited or exciting to you, right? People many times feel like that they are, turned off. There's like nothing is going on. So they need to do exciting things. Each one to his own exciting thing, right? Some people will do exciting things by driving fast or doing reckless things or behavior that is immoral, right? That's a certain excitement. But we need to be able to be present and we need to be aware of what is going on, even when things are not so exciting. Philosophically, right, we look at this from a certain state of being that is not momentarily. It's not just like I'm in right now and that's it, but rather a constant, continuous stage that demands maintenance. You need to maintain this awareness all the time. A person is demanded here or requested here to so-called feed this eternal fire that is inside of him. How? Through actions, through habits, and through intent. That's what you need to do. If you apply it to your life, start applying it to your life, you see that your life is taking a tremendous turn. In a way, your life would come down a little bit. And we need to reach a certain state, and this parasha would help us reach a certain state of wholeness in your life. That you're not going to be so affected with things that happen and anxieties and blah, 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 and the whole entire thing. It starts with that internal presence that you have, this core of awareness and being present. Now let's look at another aspect of this parasha, which we call Trumat Hadeshen. Trumat Hadeshen, which is wood compared to cleaning out emotional and spiritual waste. What does it mean? The Kohen, the priest, is commanded to lift the deshen, Trumat Naharim, right? The deshen, The deshen is the ashes that is on the mizbeach, right? So he's commanded to do so. Now let's see what does it tell me internally. On a deeper look, the efer, the ashes, is what is left. What it was after they brought the sacrifice, whatever is left there. And that will be, thank you, your past experiences. Whatever you experienced in the past. By the way, good or bad, not necessarily bad, good or bad. Feelings or emotions that are already, quote unquote, finished. You're done with, right? But for whatever reason, you're still holding on to them, and they're still present in the space, in your spiritual space, in this domain that is called your entity, your soul. It's still there. That action is a model, is an early model, call it this way, to emotional processing. You need to start cleaning up. Now, by the way, the same thing that happens when we are right now. Right now, we're almost in Pesach, right? And I hope the guys that are not here, at least they're cleaning and not just watching Netflix. We are cleaning. We're bringing everything out. We're getting rid of things. We're looking at the nooks and crannies of everything, and don't do it like this with the eyes. So, right? It teaches us not to how should I say it? Not to push things away. Not to push things away. Not to hold on to things. Right? Not to oppress yourself, but rather to clear up the space. Clean up and clear up space. And it is similar, reminds of psychological processes in let's say more early psychology, like for example by Carl Jung, that it calls it the integration of the shadow and not the rejection of the shadow. You need to kind of move on, clean up, and whatever happened, in the past, just get rid of it. Don't hold on to. People are full of bitterness and waste, and you're becoming almost a emotional herder. You collect things, and you like living in this like big garbage dump of emotions that somewhere along the line just flush the toilet and let them go. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. That's the Tumat HaDeshen. Comes the Kohen. The Kohen, of course, has a job, and his job is to clear it up. Because if you're not clearing it up, it's going to get so big, it's going to get clogged. You can't bring the korbanot. You can't do what you need to do. So you need to clean yourself up, whatever happened in the past, and so on and so forth. Now, if we're going to look, now we talked about korbanot, the sacrifice. If you look at the word korban, right? Korban is not to sacrifice. We spoke about it before. Sacrifice means that I'm giving up on things. I want something, but I need to give it up. I'm sacrificing this for that. In other words, I'm giving up on this for something else. But that's not what korban is. It is a very poor translation into English, and along the line, the distortion of what korban is. The root of the korban is kuf resh vet. Kuf resh vet could be written in or manipulated into different things. For example, kuf resh vet could be krav. Krav is a battle. You could also switch it around and make it into boker, which is morning, or bakar, which represents behemiyut, some kind of like beastie, elements inside of you. So in a way, you kind of need to so-called get up early in the morning of yourself. Don't wait until it's too late. Early in the morning, set yourself for a battle. Or what kind of battle? Against the behemoth, the beast inside of you. Why is that? Because that is going to bring you close to Hashem. Korban comes from the concept of coming close, karov. That's korban. And also levaker is to so-called visit, but also to supervise, right? So if we look at this a little bit, closer from a philosophical point of view, a person is not giving up on something. You're not giving up. but rather you are substituting, you are exchanging materialistic endeavors into connection to yourself and connection also to God by bringing the korban. Every korban is in a way transformation. You transform things. For example, you take in a behemah, you take in an animal, a beast, right? Or cow or goat or sheep, whatever it is, right? And you transfer it into something that it's meaningful, into meaning. You take an instinct and you transform it into awareness. Many times we instinctively do things and we're not aware of that. And then it's a downfall. So you need to, and why is that? Because there was lack of awareness, to take your instinct and transform them into awareness. In a way, it's almost like an alchemy of the soul, an alchemy process of the soul. You're taking something and you're turning into, basically taking, ashes and turning it into gold. You're taking water and turning it into wine, whatever it is, right? But usually we bring a korban because we did some sins, we did some averot. And together with the averot, with those sins, there is always a concept that it's called guilt. Guilt comes together with responsibility. Now, we have the korban chatat, two different korbanot. We have korban chatat, and we have korban
Asham.
Yefé meod, korban asham. Parashat Tzav, the parashat that we deal here, also deals with korbanot, with sacrifice of the person needs to bring for averot that he did, right? For chet, for sins.
Yeah.
But if you look very, very closely, you'll see that there is a fine line in between them. There's a fine difference here. We are not talking about paralyzing guilt. That will say, that's it, I'm doomed, doom and gloom, there's no hope for me. This is not the Jewish way. This is not the Jewish way. But rather, instead of having this paralyzing guilt, we have an active responsibility. And that is something that is very Jewish in terms of that. The sin is not an end. Sin is not an end, but rather an invitation to repair, to fix things up. And this is very close to the existential approach of the famous thinker Jean-Paul Sartre, right? Mm-hmm. Which says, man is free, therefore he is responsible. In other words, freedom comes with responsibility. You cannot, if you are not a responsible person, you are never going to be free, regardless of what you're telling yourself. You are captive of your own demons. You are captive of other people's mind. You name it. Free, you're not. You want to be free? Start with being responsible. That what will cause it. First of all, start to be responsible. And that's why a person we are talking about here, right? There's no escape from responsibility here. We're not escaping from responsibility. But also together with that, there's no such thing as destiny. There's no such thing as karma. That's what it is. It's my karma. It's my whatever. It doesn't work like this. This is not a Jewish concept. Karma, destiny, mazal is not, as the Gemara says, en mazal Israel. A Jew, not that he doesn't have luck. He doesn't operate by this concept of luck. That's my luck. I have good luck. I have bad luck. There's no such thing. It's very simple. Unfortunately, people don't want to hear that. People want to blame everything that they do or happens to them on either other people or their own bad luck, or they were born under bad moon. I don't know, whatever it is. But this is so not Jewish. If you want to succeed, you got to be responsible and you got to learn to work hard. There's no such thing as easy money. No such thing. And you should know that this is what exactly people are going to tap into. Your weaknesses, your laziness. You want to be a rich person? Look what people are lazy about. Offer them that service and you'll be rich because people are lazy. That's what it is. It's very simple, right? If, who doesn't want to make a quick dollar, right? So I'll come to you. I'll say, argument's sake, Eitan, Idan, whatever, right? So listen, I'm a developer. Give me your money, right? And then I'll give you percentage. I'm not even talking about the whole heter iskab, which is like so overused that it's ridiculous. I'm talking about something is wrong with you. If you have so much extra money, go open your own business. Why you need to somebody else? Because you want to sit down. You want to sit down and actually be rich by doing absolutely nothing. And along the line, by the way, you should know that for Sfaradim, David, that's especially for you, for Sfaradim, are much more machmir, much stringent in the concept of heter iska than Ashkenazim. For Sfaradi, it's almost near impossible to do the heter iska. So, but you're going to tell me, I'm going to sit down in kollel, I'm going to make all the money. Who said, you could do, you might as well, I don't know, become a member of a Mexican cartel and sit down in kollel. Is that good? That's not the way to learn Torah. That's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do things. So, you look at what people, you want to make money, it's not a problem. Look what people are lazy. People don't want to wash their cars. People don't want to do the laundry. People don't want to do whatever people don't like to do. You offer the service, you'll be good. You know what people can make a lot of money? Clean offices. Believe me, cleaning office, cleaning services. I know somebody years ago, this Polak woman, she came from Poland, hardly spoke English, barely spoke English. She was cleaning our office. From that, year after year, this woman made herself an empire. Wow. Every Polish girl that would come from Poland that needs the job, they'll go to her. She basically made a cartel of cleaning offices in Manhattan. It was crazy. This woman was a big shot. She was making more money than us. At a certain point, she stopped cleaning. And, we said to her, so Rosa, what's going on? She said, listen, to you I'll come because I like you guys. But she doesn't clean. She had like a crew of 30 people that just coming cleaning up. It's crazy stuff. You need to think about it. It's not a scam. It's your weakness. It's your laziness. So now there's no such thing as making kosher money without hard work. There's no such thing. If you make easy money, you should be very careful because most likely
easy come, easy go.
Not only easy come, easy go. Easy come, easy go to jail. Yeah. So now, let's look, we talked about the Kohen, about the priest, so let's talk about the Kohen. The Kohen is a figure of the contemplating awareness. What does the Kohen do? Like when the Kohen, for example, only once a year goes into Kodesh, the Holy of Holies, but he looks, he observes. So the Kohen in this matter is not just a religious or theological function. He represents the part of the inside of each and every one of us. And by the way, God told us, "Vayitim li mamlechet kohanim," right? You should be a kingdom of priests. What do you mean? I'm not a Kohen. I'm not a priest. What does it mean? So learn what the Kohen does. Sit down and analyze it. Don't read it just like a story of kindergarten or something of that sort. Like whatever you read in second grade or whatever. Graduate from the little midrash says, and then start looking at things because it reflects you. So he's this like contemplating awareness. What does it mean? There is a part in each and every one of us that is the organizer. He keeps on internal order of things. Make sure that everything is okay. And this is why it's very important to implement this thing into your life as well. As I told you a million times, get up in the morning, the first thing you do, fix your bed. It helps you maintain a certain mindset of order in your life. To live a chaos life, to be unorganized is very, very unhealthy. Don't wait for the cleaning lady to do. And by the way, you should not have a cleaning lady. Keep things in order. Put things in place. You ate something, right? You ate something. Take your dish, wash it, put it to the side. Because if you're not going to do so, at the end of the week, you're going to have all the way up to the ceiling, dishes to do. Do it immediately. Organize things. Keep it in order. The way you are internally is how you're going to be externally and vice versa. The outside reflect on the inside reflect on the outside. That's why you need to dress up appropriately. You need to dress up and look presentable. You can't look like you just came out of a dryer, with the stuff all over. You need to be organized, right? So in a way, if we're going to talk about this, almost like the Kohen is almost like if we're going to use Jung approach, almost like the high self, right? It's the highest level of the self. The Kohen is not the emotion, he's not the urge, but rather he's the one who manages the urges. He manages the emotions. He's in control of the situation. A Kohen, right, goes to the petach, right, to the opening. It goes to the petach of Ohel Moed, right, and he's contemplating. But where is he looking? He's looking inside. The Mishkan is like your own internal thing, right? Guys, in the day to day, we also get carried away. We always get carried away by emotions, by reactions, how to react to things, by habits, and so on and so forth. The goal is to create a certain space between arousal and reaction, right? Somebody said something to you. You don't have immediately snap and answer. Take your time, just think. By the way, you could learn, argument's sake, you could learn martial arts for years. And then you're going to go to a street fight and you're going to get yourself beaten up. Because in a control environment, like a dojo, right? You throw a punch, he throws a block, he throws a punch, you throw a block, you do whatever you do. In a state of a chaos, in a street fight, the first thing you do, right? You stop hyperventilating. There's no judge, there's no referee, there are no rules. It's free for all, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a problem. So you start hyperventilating, and then you lose. One of the things to do is to move back and start controlling your breath, right? Control your breath. There is a way to do so. Control your breath, and you are able to create a certain space where you could learn to control the situation. The same thing to us. There should be a gap between the trigger to the reaction. So for example, once or twice a day, right? Stop for like 10, 20 seconds and ask yourself the question, what am I feeling now? What am I feeling now? What am I about to do? What am I going to do? What am I about to do, right? In a way, this kind of a pause will build or help you build inside of you an internal Kohen, internal priest, right? That really manages instead of get carried away. The problem with us, that since we, throughout our lives, are not looking to be responsible for ourselves, we don't create order to ourselves, we are always get carried away, and the intent of called the matrix outside of the world itself, to create a state of constant lack of equilibrium inside of you, where you are going to be reactive to everything, instead of taking an initiative. In other words, you're going to get carried away. And there is no better example for that with whatever happened nowadays because of the TikToks and the Instagram and so on and so forth, that social media, how people could now, for example, say, we are justify Hamas and we blame Israel for being killed. You get carried away. You're not thinking. You're not in control. When you are not in control of yourself, you are vulnerable for somebody else's idea to manipulate you and your thoughts against what you know is right or what you know is normal. Right? Look to the point that we're so crazy. I mean, a baby in the stomach of its mother, in the womb of his mother, is not going to be considered what? Normal, a living entity, right? But a man with a skirt is okay. What's up with that? How did this all of a sudden happen? Slowly, you were not aware of what is entering inside of you, became carried away, and now all of a sudden you're waving those kind of, funky flags all over the place, and, and you lost control over your life. Together with loss of control, something would always come, is lack of holiness. You cannot, that's why in Bet HaMikdash, in the Jewish temple, anybody again knows where the Jewish temple was? In the Temple Mount. And who is right now colonizing the Har HaBayit?
The Muslims.
The Muslims. They build the mosque there. They're colonizing, colonial, taking over. Yes. In the Jewish Temple Mount, on the Temple Mount, on the Jewish temple, on the Temple Mount. By the way, that's why it's called the Temple Mount, right? Because the Jewish temple was on it. Order was a must. There was no such thing as chaos. Has to be organized. There's no holiness in chaos. Whether it's in your room or in your mind, you need to be organized. You need to be clean. You got to be organized. So you need to manage your life, as I said to you, instead of get carried away. That's what the Kohen does. That's what we'll do. You should know that any emotion that you have, any feeling that you have, is kind of a kindling material, is a burning material, right? That goes inside of you. The question is not do you have urges, but rather what are you doing with them? What are you doing with your urges? What are you doing with your impulses? Are they in control of you, or you are controlling them? That's the question to need to be asked. If we're talking about the sin and responsibility, so we're going to go from guilt to tikkun, to fixing. We're going to fix things. And by the way, that's the history of mankind from Adam HaRishon, right? When they were in Gan Eden, right? After the sin, now there is the process of tikkun. We need to fix it up. And if you're not going to fix it up, your children will have to fix it up. And then if they're not, and that's why things are taking so long to happen, because nobody's stepping up to the game. Those forces in the world don't want this order, and they will create chaos in your life. They will create the demonstrations and turning day into night and night into day, and men into women and women into men. They want to create the chaos because they don't want this fix-up to come. There's two ways to go back. Either we can trace ourselves, and by the way, this is like in survival, right? You can trace, if you find yourself all of a sudden lost, right? So, take a map. You have a road map. Well, start to see where you are, and then you need to learn how to read a map. By the way, you'd be surprised that most people today cannot read a map. They cannot read a map. Even if I'll give them a compass, they cannot read where they are, how to look, what it is. They don't know how a topographic map, what does it mean, what does it look like? Which is ridiculous, and is an absolute necessity for all of you to learn how to read a map. So either I'm going to use a map to know where to go, or I can trace myself back. I know where I came from. In a way, da me'ayin bata ule'an ata olech. Leave the other parts to it. You should know where you came from and where you're going. There's no such thing. It's just happening like this in your life. So, what does it mean? Let's say, for example, you made a mistake. So you made a mistake. The automatic response, right, is most of the time to blame yourself, right? To blame yourself, or to even ignore it. It's not a mistake. It's okay. You're ignoring it. Comes Parashat Tzav and offers you a different way, a third way, and that's called tikkun, fixing up. Let's fix it up. You made a mistake. Let's fix it up. So if we're going to take it make it practical, what does it mean to fix it up? How are we going to do so? We need to identify things without a drama. People love dramas, right? But life is not a a soap opera or some kind of like how do you call this thing? General Hospital. There's like telenovela, right? Life is not a
reality show.
Yeah, no, or whatever it is, right? It's a, so you need to identify things without a drama. In other words, to say, I made a mistake, and to ask yourself the question, what caused that mistake? What was the cause of that mistake? You should immediately, once you realize you made a mistake, take a small fixing step, something small, but on the right path, right? You're not looking for perfection. You're not looking for, right now, I arguments made a sin, so immediately I'm going to become a tzaddik. No, just start fixing up slowly, because if you're going to turn it too much, what will happen? You're going to tip over. Just like in a car, all of a sudden, or a motorcycle, if you find yourself drifting a little bit, if you're going to jerk it to the other direction, you're going to start wobbling, you're going to goodbye and good luck. You're going to fly. So instead of looking for perfection, start looking for a movement forward. Move forward from this place. So let's look at mankind as an altar himself. So if you put everything together, a person is the mizbeach, is the altar itself. The fire is the awareness. The korbanot, the sacrifice, are the experiences and the urges. Ha'afar, right? The ash is the memories. The kohen is the organizing awareness or the controlling awareness. Life is a whole process, a continuous process of feeding, right? What we need to feed? The fire. The process, right, is the burning, right? To let go will be the ashes. You need to let go of the ashes, right? You need to also to rejuvenate yourself as well. That's the rejuvenation. Parashat Tzav teaches us that it's not enough to just wake up. It's not enough to wake up and to do it one time. Okay, I became Choser B'Tshuva. That's it. I'm done. Okay, now we are a bunch of the guys. No, it doesn't work like this. The same thing, like for example, if you lost weight, you need to learn to maintain your healthy weight. You need to change your lifestyle, and you need to make those changes slowly. So that's why, for example, it's not recommended to lose a lot of weight in one time, because what you're going to be losing, muscle mass and even bone density. If you're going to lose, let's say, 100 pounds in 2 months, I'm afraid what's going to happen to your, let's say, pelvis in 10 years from now. It's probably going to be fresh. You're going to break it. So you need to do it gradually, slowly, right? The real avodah, the real work, is a daily dedication, which is but very gentle, not through extreme things, very gentle, persistent, correction, moving forward, not to extinguish the fire, not to get scared from the ashes, and to remember that every act could turn into an act of closeness, to be able to distinguish between internal meaning and external urges. We need to be able to look at things to determine, is this going to give me internal meaning? The Trumat Adeshen, what we have, which is basically the daily cleanup of emotion and so on and so forth. Every day you have a little bit of ashes on you, right? Of this, what is it? It's going to be conversations, talks, small little frustrations of the day. If you're not going to clear it up and get rid of it, that's going to become a burden. It's going to become heavy. It's going to clog your filters, and you're going to sink down. You're not going to be able to move. So the depth of Parashat Tzav is not in those great moments, this Hollywood productions, epic events that happen, this climax of revelation. It's not in that, but in the small little things that come every single day. For example, one thing that you should do is get up every single day At the same time, have a daily routine that would create stability into your life. For example, don't go one day to shul, 3 days not to shul, then you get up, you start doing Hanetzach Hama, and then you all of a sudden forget to daven Shacharit until 12 o'clock. Every single day, create a continuity into your life. It will help you gain control. You're going to be a much more pleasant person to be with. Because you feel control. People are going to gravitate towards you. Because people want people that are solid. They want rocks. They don't want some kind of a guy who's a leaf, one day here, one day there, and then he gets crushed. You don't need to control people. You just let them be and be yourself. Create order in your life, and they're going to. And then, by the way, it's going to be very easy for you, or much easier for you, when it comes to shidduchim and into your married life and so on and so forth. A lot of the problems that people have in married life is the fact that they try to control the other person rather than create the space for them to grow. That's what it is. It's a very big issue. Life don't change from a drama, right? Life changes from maintenance. You need to maintain yourself, from paying attention and having awareness to what is happening around you, but not only externally around you, but even more so what is happening inside of you, internally. I wish you all to have a Shabbat Shalom and Chag Kasher v'Sameach. And don't be shy to clean well and to work hard. It's good for you. It's good for your house. It's good for your mind. And it's good for your soul. Shabbat Shalom.